Speaking of a guy that's good on motivation, he got it done in the NFL for a long, long time. Mike Smith, former Jags defensive coordinator here in the ATL. Of course, you know him well as the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, most recently with one of our favorite staffs in the NFL, the Tampa Bay Bucks, and all those former Jags guys. Welcome on the program, Mike Smith. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing great.
I'm going to move this up for you a little
Certainly.
bit. Make sure I get you. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good, good. You growing the beard out? You looking
good,
Good,
man.
yeah, look good. You like that? Okay.
What's going on over here?
Is this on the way to retirement or what?
It's on the way to retirement. Absolutely.
That's what we're hearing. Why the decision to get out of this great game that you've been a part of?
First of all, it's been a great game. It's been good to me. It's been good to my family. It's something that about 5 years ago I put a timeline on. Hey, this is probably going to be the time I'm going to step back and do something else, and I'm looking forward to it. Spending more time with my family, a little bit of golf, a little bit of fishing, do some things with kids, some underprivileged children, and just turn the page and work in another direction.
Brent Martineau, Austen Lane, former Jags player, of course, and Mike Smith, former Jags defensive coordinator. You always speak so fondly of your time in Jacksonville, 2003 to 2007. What was that like, and how much did that kind of help you when you did become the head coach in Atlanta?
Well, you're always learning. You're a lifetime learner, and the time in Jacksonville was special for me. First and foremost, it was close to my family. I'm a native of Daytona Beach, and that was great to have. I have my brothers and sisters and cousins and all that, be able to be a part of it and see the NFL from a different perspective. It'll always be home. In fact, I plan on spending time in the northeast Florida in the winters, and then spend some time up in Tennessee in the summer. So I'm looking forward to a new chapter.
Speaking of retirement, and obviously you haven't had a lot of time to reflect yet on your whole career, but what are some of the biggest things that you're going to take away from coaching in the NFL?
Oh, the friendships that you build. It's such a special thing. There's nothing like a locker room. There's nothing like a coaching staff in any industry. So those are the things that I'm going to miss with regards to building a team and being a part of a team. And that's special because it's important that guys understand the importance of teamwork, whether you're in athletics, whether you're in business, even with your family. You got a big family, you got to have teamwork.
And speaking of teamwork, as if coaching wasn't stressful enough, you also wrote a book as well, and kind of based it off teamwork. Can you kind of talk about your book a little bit?
Yeah, sure. John Gordon and I, and John is from Jacksonville. A lot of people know John. I met John my last year in Jacksonville. Actually, my wife had a friend that heard John speak at a real estate meeting and came back and said, yeah, you've got to tell Mike that this guy's fantastic. He's a dynamic guy. So I had a meeting with him, and I went to Coach Del Rio, and asked if he'd be interested in having John come. And then I left a year later, and John really became a confidant for me in Atlanta. We were talking about having to change the culture with the Atlanta Falcons team anytime you're coming in, and John and I became really close friends, and he has spent 7 years with me, helping me through the growing pains of becoming a head coach in the NFL.
Mike Smith with us here on ESPN 690. Spent a lot of time in Jacksonville, of course, with the Atlanta Falcons as well, most recently with Tampa, and heading into retirement at the young age of 59, by the way. How much do NFL guys – see, I think I'm an outside guy. This guy played in the NFL.
Yeah,
he knows.
Austen knows.
Played against you a couple times, actually.
Yeah. And listen, I think y'all are crazy for playing the game. I wouldn't play it. I always said that. But it's interesting to be the dynamic that it's such a violent game, yet you need that element of what you're talking about to change culture. And some of those, whether it's the Vince Lombardi sayings or things that you come up with to relate to players, to get through players, communication is important in every facet of life. And so much so in the NFL as well.
Absolutely. And in fact, I like to call it collaboration, because communication is one way. I can tell my daughter, hey, those skinny jeans aren't going to get washed if they don't get put in the bin. that's communication, but it's one way. I really like to talk about collaboration. I think you have to have a collaborative atmosphere to be successful, especially in the NFL. Guys they want to know that you care as a coach, and I think that's one of the things that you have to do is they have to know that you care about them on so many levels. And that's why in Jacksonville I tried to spend time in the training room. I tried to spend time in the cafeteria, because that's a time when the players that you're working with and other people's, they've got their guard down, and you're really going to have an opportunity to interact with them. And I took that with me to Atlanta in my first 5 or 6 weeks. I didn't talk X's and O's. I was only concerned about meeting the people in the organization and trying to connect with them, because connection is important.
Well, obviously, I mean, it was a big deal because they went 2008 4-12, and you come in right away and go 11-5. You know, I mean, it was a giant turnaround there. So I like what you're saying when it comes to relationships. You know, because sometimes we get lost in the X's and O's and everything. And I played for some great coaches and some okay coaches, and the great coaches that really stood out to me were the guys that wanted to build those relationships. You know.
Yeah, well, and it's not just in sports, Austen. I think it's something that whether you're in sports, whether you're in business, or with your family, we've got to build those connections, and you've got to find them. And with each player, it could be a little bit different. There's no cookie cutter on how you can relate and how you can connect with the player. You've got to find that to be successful in the NFL or in business or your family.
Yeah. All right, we're not going to keep you too much longer, but I got to get to some quick hitters, and I got to share a story with you. 2 years ago, national championship game in Tampa, Clemson, Alabama. We're on the road to head into Tampa. And early that morning, there's a big rumor in Jacksonville that Mike Smith's going to be the next head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'm like, hey, this is awesome. Yeah. I don't know where Mike lives in Tampa, but I am going to knock on his door. This might be perfect timing. By the end of that day, Doug Marrone's the head coach in Jacksonville. You got to give us a little insight. How close were you, in your mind, to being the next coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars? We know you were right in the mix. How close were you? Did you think you had it, or a good chance to get it?
Well, the hiring process no one hiring process is like the other, and you find that out very quickly in the NFL. Whether it's for a head coach or whether it's for a assistant coach, everybody wants to talk about it. I really had a great conversation with David Caldwell, and David's a good friend of mine. I think he's done a wonderful job there. He's good people, good family man, and a very good football guy. And hey, it goes the way it goes. You can't predict, just like you can't predict who the next head coach is going to be in the hiring cycle this year. There's so much information out there, and so many people think they have the right information, and it's really one guy that's making the decision. You
obviously, by the way, it probably is a crime that you didn't get another head coaching job. 66-46 record. I mean, people look for successful coaches. Yeah. Are you surprised that you didn't get another chance along this way?
Nothing surprises me in this business and in this environment. Trends change. Right now, the trend, I believe, is to hire the offensive coach. The younger guys are getting their opportunities, and well, that they should. This is a quarterback-driven league. You know that, Austen.
Absolutely.
If you have a quarterback, you've got a pretty good chance to be successful. And quarterbacks are getting compensated at such a high rate. You better have someone that can communicate, collaborate, and work with the quarterback. And I think that's the model right now. It could change. Next year, 3 years from now, they may be looking for defensive guys.
Yeah,
they could
always change.
They could. I got to ask you two more questions. How much do you like this Jags defense that you've seen of with some of this young talent?
Oh, they've got some talent on the defensive side of the ball. They've done a good job not only with their draft picks, but they've done a good job adding guys through free agency. And in this day and age in the National Football League, it can't be done one way. Everybody says you got to build through the draft. Yes, you have to build through the draft, but you have to be able to add pieces in free agency. And they have played some fantastic defense. That defensive staff has done a very good job. I've been very impressed, not only schematically with what they do, but the way that they play hard and they run to the football. When they're on fire and playing well, they're as good as any defense in the NFL.
Can you tell just this blockbuster great player right away? Like, for me, outside guy looking in, I mean, to me, Jalen Ramsey feels like just a generational kind of player. Am I over-exaggerating a little
No,
bit?
he's an outstanding defensive back, and in this day and age, you got to be able to cover, and you've got to be able to have a short memory when you're a defensive back, because the efficiency of the quarterbacks in this league, when you're playing a good one, they're going to have a good day every once in a while, whether you're a Pro Bowl player or not. They're going to be able to fit some in, and you just got to be able to move on to the next play, and that's the important thing.
One last question for you, and I don't think you can be fined since you're on retirement now, but this Rams-Saints finish, that play, as a guy that's in the league, the integrity of sport and the league matters. Do you think there's a correction there at all, or is it just a bad call and it's just one of those unfortunate circumstances? Can they do anything about it?
We all want the game to be better. There's no doubt about it. Everybody that's involved in it, that we work hard to get the game better. And the tough thing about it is it's an imperfect game. It's played by players that are not perfect. It's coached by people that are not perfect. And it's officiated by people that are not perfect. And I don't know that you're ever going to be able to take it all the way out. I know that the league and the competition committee, they are going to look at it and try to make it better. But I don't think you're ever going to be able to change the human element of the game. It's just not going to happen. And the league will do what they feel is best, and it may be in steps. But it'd be awful hard to be able to have to look at every play. The flow of the game just wouldn't be the same. You as a player, you wouldn't want to have to wait between plays.
Exactly.
You want to keep that flow going, right?
Without a doubt.
Well,
Agreed.
listen, Austen Lane gave up football. When he finally got out, he's now an MMA fighter. I wouldn't take that path if I was you. I'd just go play golf.
No, I'm not going to do that.
If you want to come to the gym, man, you're more than welcome. We get
I will punch, but I don't want to get punched back. I know your training is a little bit that way, and I wish you the best, and I hope you're enjoying it.
Well, I appreciate it. I think the last time we interacted, it was you were coaching the Falcons here in Atlanta for training camp, so it's nice to sit down and talk to you, not having to get my butt kicked every single play by you guys for the Falcons, man.
Yeah,
so
well,
it's great to see you.
Nice seeing you too,
Yeah,
Austen.
absolutely,
Yeah,
man.
great.
All right, Mike Smith, one of the all-time greats, great guys, and Jacksonville still loves him and remembers him fondly. We appreciate you stopping by.
All right, thank you.
Good luck with John Gordon. Write another book, will you?
We will. It's down. It's going to be happening here sooner than later.
Awesome. Happy retirement to Mike Smith.